Hello, everyone. Welcome to BizChicks TV. This is a place where you can find tips and tools to help you do business better. We're here to help you run a profitable business that's fun to run and to take the hassle out of your hustle. And today it's time for Tech Talk Weekly. We're here with the Biz Chicks, Miss Francine Gregory, real estate entrepreneur and tech diva. We're going to be hearing from Dr. Tachi all the way from Florida. I'm out here in Texas, and we are just looking forward to having this conversation today. I got a couple of really interesting videos, Fran, so I'm hoping we'll get to those. What do you
Oh,
have
I'm
for
sure.
us today in terms of tech history?
All right, I got four little stories for us, and I'm going to start with this one from January 3rd, 1957. The
Mhm.
Hamilton Watch Company introduces the first electric watch.
Mm. Okay.
The Hamilton Electric 500 was the first watch to never need winding. Okay.
Was that what they
However,
called the self-winding watch?
no,
But it
mm-mm.
just kept going.
No, however, its battery life was so short that frequent battery replacements were necessary. Plus, a first breed, plus as a first breed, the watch was not very reliable. However, it was an instant hit because the novelty of never needing to wind the watch proved extremely popular.
Okay. I don't know why, because it doesn't take much to wind a watch, but our lives that busy that we didn't have time to,
You got to button a shirt, wind the watch.
you know?
Yeah. This was January 3rd, 1957.
Hmm.
Uh, it was the first watch to never need winding. Now, there were a lot of watches back in the day, pocket watch, and I'm sure Rolex was out at
Oh
that
yeah.
time. Okay, anywho. January 3rd, 1977, less than 1 year after its founding, the world's first personal computer company, Apple Computer Inc., is incorporated.
Oh.
They went public, and that was 1977.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, they used the rainbow Apple logo.
I remember that.
Hmm. January 3rd, 1996, Motorola introduces the StarTAC, the first clamshell flip phone, the smallest and lightest cell phone available at that time. The StarTAC's wearability made it one of the first cell phones to achieve mainstream popularity, and about 60 million StarTAC phones were sold over the series' lifetime, becoming the stereotype for what most people refer to as flip phones, even to this day.
Oh, okay.
You know, the black one that looked like the Star
Absolutely.
Trek.
I remember.
Yeah, I had one of those.
I probably did too. I've got a couple of generations of phones from the kids just in a
Hmm.
drawer.
And they actually look pretty good,
And they're
and they
bringing them back, aren't they?
somebody's trying to. I think I saw it in when I was in the T-Mobile store that the little flip phone was over there. I was like,
Hmm.
really? Y'all trying to do that?
Well, you know,
I don't even know if the pagers are coming back. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Eh, That was very interesting. My next story, January 3rd, 1999, the Mars Polar Lander is launched. The
Hmm.
mission ultimately ended in failure during an attempted landing on Mars' surface.
Mm.
It attempts to reestablish communication with the lander failed after the lander entered Mars's atmosphere. It has been concluded that the most likely cause of the failure was a software error, causing the lander to crash into the planet. Even though software the was the likely culprit, It has not been proven that Microsoft had anything to do with it.
Well, before we go any further, I want you to know Mark says he loves his flip phone. So he loved it. So, good morning, Mark.
Good morning. It was very simple. It
Mhm.
worked. I
Yes.
don't know about, we wasn't sending a whole bunch of text messages though.
Well, you know something, just the fact that you could carry a phone in your pocket that wasn't the size of a brick, uh,
That part.
that's a big advancement.
There's a reason why we should not be trying to go to Mars. The software, what? Come on now.
I just think you are negative on Mars.
But here's a couple of things. Attempts to reestablish communication didn't work after it entered Mars' atmosphere, so you're not going to talk to nobody.
Okay.
And the most likely cause of the failure was a software error. Okay, if we can't get the software errors and stuff fixed here on this planet, why are we trying to go there and not be able to communicate?
Okay.
That's just
What did Mark say? He says, Happy New Year. I wasn't sure if this was live. Yes, we are live, darling. Happy New Year.
So January 3rd, 2009,
Mm-hmm.
the synonymous Bitcoin creator Satoshi Nakamoto mines the first 50 Bitcoins, now known as the Genesis block, 6 days before the initial release of the Bitcoin software and launch of the cryptocurrency network. Bitcoin has become the de facto digital currency, popular for its decentralized approach because no single entity can control, manipulate, or deactivate the currency, and transactions can be highly private and yet still remain secure.
Okay.
Okay. So that is your week in tech history.
Yeah. So we end on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is moving. You have to give them credit. They are growing, and it is just phenomenal, the rate of growth.
Right. There are people who have adopted to it.
Mm-hmm.
And we always talk about, if you don't understand, don't invest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Go, if you want to understand and you want to invest, go get some information and
There
just
you
don't
go.
be shady with it. Because if I understand this right, Mark may be able to jump in there. Bitcoin is one type of cryptocurrency. It is not the only
No,
one.
it's not the only.
Okay, but it is the one that came out first.
Correct. The
And
first one
Dr.
in the
Tachi can
market.
weigh in on this too. Hey,
Yes.
Good morning, Dr. Tachi.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
yes.
Yes, we hear you fine.
Okay.
Oh, we see the new.
Yeah, microphone.
Wow.
So
Ah!
I haven't played with it enough yet, but I knew it's plug and play. So as long as you can hear me, that's all that matters.
Yes, we hear
Yes,
you
we can hear
fine,
you.
darling.
Okay, good, good.
Then Terry's pushing buttons in the
Okay, I
background.
was like, why am I on the screen by myself?
Because I wanted people to see your microphone nice and
Oh,
clear.
okay. Yes. So I have the Shure microphone, and the nice thing is, I was explaining to you all offline that it is both USB and XLR. So that means that I have a number of ways that I can connect. And fun fact, XLR will always give you the best sound.
Oh,
Most people are not going to, the average person won't notice it. But if you are a sound person, or you all do this all the time, you will notice, because it's got a wider surface area, which means more cables. So it's going to be a better sound, the
Yep.
XLR cable. But USB works fine too. You can plug it right into your computer. So
So they just
beautiful.
technology, anything that makes an activity easier.
Yes, now people can hear me. Just think about the whole fact of what microphones did before. You had you know, when you were young, you took a rolled up piece of paper and you made your voice project. So you had those things before. Then they added electronics to it so that it would carry farther, but it wasn't clear and sharp. So then you really started to have like the development of things like the diaphragm and the electrical workings inside a microphone allowed our voices to be carried farther. And then, of course, technology for speakers made it able to be carried even farther. So very interesting.
Yes.
Well, Mark is concerned about your fashions.
Oh,
Tachi is giving high fashion camo. She may be considered armed and dangerous.
I am armed with style, sir. That is the only thing, and knowledge. That is the only thing I am armed with.
There you go.
Good morning, Mark.
and then if we go way back to the history of audio projection, you had to stand on a hill somewhere to get your voice to.
Yeah. And so the drum was
Yes, I was
really
gonna
the
say, what about
first.
the drum? Yes.
Yeah, the drum really, the sound carries far. It's lower in pitch often, depending on which drum you're using. So it can carry, the lower the pitch, the farther it will carry. And so
Oh.
people might be on top of a high hill or a mountain and drum, and that's how you sent out signals to your community. Yeah.
What we learn.
I know. I'm learning. I had no idea how the microphone, what the history of all of that.
Yeah, and I mean, not that I am an audiophile that I know, but I know, you know, enough. And I'm really interested in the whole history of technology and especially media technology. That fascinates me. So
does that make us tech bros?
tech what?
Tech bros.
Hell no, it does not make us tech
Okay,
bros.
thank you.
I can't stand tech bros.
But you know, because now there's audio bros. I was like, really, guys, come on.
It's a thing. It sits in something that's derogatory. So something that could be positive, because it's not about the technology itself. It's about the attitude of the people who utilize the technology and how they have this sometimes better than thou, how they have this everybody's against us, so we have to band together and show them that we know much more. So it's rooted in something negative.
It's more of a philosophy and
yeah,
and a community.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Mark says, but through all of these advancements, we can still hear the ocean in a shell.
Amazing, isn't it, Mark? You can still pick up a conch shell and hear the ocean. Absolutely.
This is so good. Well, that was my tech history. We talked about Mars, and you know me and Mars. So
yes, I know you have an issue with Mars. Well,
I should have an issue with Mars.
But did we read Mark's
comment?
I
got Mark's comment. Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Before I get started, I just want to say I got 2 quickies that are about 7 or 8 minutes each on these videos. And the first one I want to talk about is, remember a couple of years ago, we talked about Boxable, the house in a box.
Yes.
They have come a long way. So I want to give you an update on what's going on with them. And then I want to talk about, I'm all about the robotics. We're going to get it. So we'll save the robotics for a second.
Okay.
But let's see if we can get into, and these things are being shared from YouTube. So I want you to know there might be a commercial or two where I'll have to mute this. Okay.
No worries.
Share this screen and talk to you about Boxable. And let's see if I can get this going. I thought I had it ready.
What is the future of Boxable? 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedrooms, and really continue to fulfill the goal of Boxable, which is who solved the housing crisis. The best way to think about Boxable is to think of Legos. You can stack them, connect them, cantilever them as you go up. What can't you build with that? This is what the Boxable packs up to, the Boxable Casita. And our expanded offering, our Goldie Box offering, they all arrive like this. If you want up to a 4-bedroom home, 4 of these will show up.
Hello, hi. Won't you take a look inside? All these thoughts all the time. Goldie Box on my mind. It can shift, it can ride, it can go up in the sky like a bird or a plane. Super, super, super fly.
So Boxable currently makes what some folks call a tiny home. It's not so tiny, as we know. It's got 9.5-foot ceilings, 8-foot tall windows, wraparound island counter, full-size everything, full-size refrigerator. Apart from the fact that it makes for very nice living, very comfortable living, it really shows the methodologies we have and the first principles that we adhere to build most things most of the time. There is no improvement too small, from the building shelves on inward down to every washer, nut, bolt, whether it's a washing machine or flooring or LED lighting. And we'll be able to see some of those things in the Goldie Box first sample. Why don't we go take a look? So if this looks familiar to you, this is in fact the casita. Casita always looks big, but this looks really, really big. Why does it look really big? Oh, I don't know, because there isn't a giant queen-size bed in here and a closet. This is now devoted just to living and dining area. And if I step back here, you can see it's pretty damn big. What was the bathroom in the original casita? Now, if we come in here, because it's all planned out digitally from day one, turns into a very nice laundry center. This is very interesting. We don't want our customers to have to paint and spackle and fill window holes because they made their home bigger with additional casitas. So this beautiful, beautiful insert, mirror back, glass shelves. If you think back to those Legos with the bumps, you can put them together like this, you can put them together like this, you can put them together like this, but you can't put them together halfway. They have to go on their grid, lining up those bumps. Boxable is on an invisible grid. All the windows, all the doors are on a grid. The wall, the ceiling, the floors have chaseways through them. Chaseways are just holes through the middles of the walls, running vertically and horizontally, all on the grid. What does that mean as the system expands? It means that when this used to be a window, and then I go and plug in a shelf because I made my home larger, I have a chaseway that's on the grid, where I can pull an electric line without going into my ceiling and put a nice light up there. We've thought through the building system really from the genetic level to be able to expand into these additional offerings and make a true post-industrial system that can meet most people's needs most of the time. Our designers did something pretty cute here where you could just turn these around and you've actually now got essentially a home theater. So it doubles up as a space. Nobody's brought me any popcorn, but that's okay. We're going to go through now into a second building shell configured as a 2-bedroom with a Jack and Jill bath. And you can see it's got this really nice pre-entry. And when I'm talking about design details and design features, you'll notice that the glass behind me has no frame around it, and it goes to the ceiling, the walls, and the floor directly. Look at this sense of space just with that small design detail, and that's what we obsess about. Look at this. This is, presumably a young teenager, 12, 13, something like that, can have his friends over, play video games, big giant window, another 88-inch television, a walk-in closet, and a Jack and Jill bathroom. The fact that we actually have to put this on the toilet should speak volumes. So come on in. Big mirror, 2 sinks so the kids don't fight. The 8-foot tall shower, very, very popular. Come on through. Here we're just really showcasing that even though these are conservatively sized bedrooms, because everything is affordable with Boxable, it still can house a queen size bed. And here for this particular layout, we've put a door. All doors and windows pretty much interchangeable. Follow me and let's look at the deck. This floor plan, just from a top level, imagine those square Legos and then putting them together into an L shape. And then in that little elbow of the L is where we're standing. Box number 1, box number 2, box number 3. This could be a box number 4, but we've laid it out as a deck. And here the design team has just simply created just a lumber atrium roof with what we call our bistro lighting to set the mood. And at night, this really is a special space, I have to say. If we also got rid of all of this, this could also be the front of the house. You can park 2 standard cars here, and that can be the front door. Have I saved the best till last? I don't know. You'll tell me. So check this out. Another beautiful pre-entry. And here we have really an absolutely huge master suite. Huge king-size bed, huge closets. You'll notice this rather sexy picture is backlit with LED. Where are the wires? We're on the grid. We really turned this whole place into a walk-in closet by the simple expedience of taking the bathroom door and making it a full mirror door. Take a look at the master bath. 2 sinks and a tub that we are hoping we can offer a shower, tub, jacuzzi combo. Anyway, let's head back to our pre-entry. And here we are again. If I sit here, I got a pretty nice couch. And as you can see, I can hang out here with a number of people. It's really pretty large. And again, in terms of our space planning, if I look across at that wall over there, I've got a giant 88-inch television, which is playing The Hangover. Why is it playing The Hangover? Because it's a hilarious movie. Also, it's in Las Vegas, where we are. So, by the way, please come take a tour.
Welcome to Goldilocks.
This is man.
Calling us?
Okay. So the first thing, this is genius because all you need to do is buy some land.
Yes. No, the TV doesn't come with it, Mark.
Only Mark.
He says,
Well, because the way that the chairs and stuff was set up, I'm like, can we keep all the furniture and stuff?
well, I would think that they probably have designers. You probably could find out where they pick those chairs up. I've seen those chairs at spaces like Ross, At Home, different, furniture stores. It's a great concept.
I'm sure they have. Well, I was going to say, I'm sure they have furniture packages where you can, part of that where you can buy with or without the furniture.
And then I'm thinking it's the Lego concept. This is like a big Lego kit. Okay, so now I want these chairs, and you know what I'm saying? It's
what I thought about, Fran? I could start with one box, and as my family grows, I could add boxes. Does that make sense, ladies?
I that makes perfect sense. There are some things that I'm thinking about. So Las Vegas is the perfect venue. And in fact, when I go to Vegas in April, I am going to try and go and see these and live stream these because I'm very interested in this whole thing. But Las Vegas is the perfect venue because it's desert. They're not having like a whole lot of rain and flooding. They don't really have earthquakes from what I know. They're not getting hurricanes and tornadoes. So
no snow. Yeah.
No snow for the most part. So it's maybe every once in a blue moon, a few flurries in January, but nothing serious. So, okay, they do have sandstorms sometimes, but other than that, you're not living in the middle of the desert probably with this.
Right.
So it's very much a safe place. Would this work in some place like a Florida where there are hurricanes? Would they be able to get insurance for it? Would it work in some place like an Oklahoma where it's Tornado Alley? So that's what I'm wondering. Obviously some things like this are not for everybody, but I love the fact that it's affordable and expandable without a whole lot of headache. But I'm wondering, where can you build these in the US anyway?
And I'm sure
Mhm.
that they could tell us that as well.
Your
Mark says,
Boxable would have that information.
yeah, they
You know what I
would.
mean?
So
Where it
Mark says,
works
let me
best.
know when. Mark says, let me know when they include land in a box, so there's a place to put the house.
Exactly.
You would
What?
be surprised how many rural areas there are throughout states like
What,
Pennsylvania, California. It depends because you don't have to be close to anything
wait, Mark got jokes.
if you're working from home. Go ahead.
Mark got jokes. The part that they don't tell you is that the house comes with assembly instructions written by the same people who write the IKEA assembly instructions.
Can you imagine? I'd be like, just throw the whole house away.
You know,
I would.
I do believe Boxable completes the process for you. They don't
I
just drop the
sincerely hope
boxes
so.
off like Amazon.
I sincerely hope so.
So just a little bit. This is the same. You can create an ADU in your backyard with this. So there are people that I know who have a yard big enough to bring in one of these boxes
Mm-hmm.
and put it in there. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be rural somewhere.
Mm-mm.
It's just as long as the land complies. There was a person that I know that wanted to buy a mobile home, and so we went to the mobile home place and talked to them. And the mobile home people, they come out and do a site survey to make sure the land, and they tell you before you put your deposit on the land, let us go take a look, because you don't want to buy land that you won't be able to put the house on.
Exactly.
Mobile home or Boxable or something. So somebody's going to come and take a look to make
an
sure.
assessment. Okay.
Now, see, sorry, go ahead.
To make sure you can do this before you buy the land.
That is very important because you don't want to, that could end up being a waste of money and time. You have to check with your local municipalities to make sure you are zoned for this type of thing. Now, luckily I am. My lot is big enough for another, because my property is zoned for multifamily.
All right.
So I could have as
Your
many. If I wanted to
studio.
build an apartment building in the back, I could. So I was thinking about having something extra, like maybe Airbnb-ish. That could work.
And think about this. Once you put one box there, you can stack them and have two units going for Airbnb.
That's true.
Because they'd have separate entrances, etc. Marcus
says the house comes with instructions and an Allen wrench.
That must be a big Allen wrench.
Yeah. And then he said, I'll be building my house in Tachi's backyard. Surprise.
Oh gosh, I can imagine. But that would be loads of fun. We would have a barrel of fun every day.
Oh my goodness.
This right here is genius. And then we just don't want no municipalities and the powers that be to be mucking up stuff.
So you want to do your due diligence before you start. But I got one more video that I want to share with you guys.
Do share.
You know, this is this may set off a conversation. Let me see what I can do here to make sure that I'm got this. Share my screen. I know this one has a commercial in the middle, so
yeah, no worries.
Bear with us. Okay. Can you see that, guys? All right.
We can.
Yeah, now.
Yeah. All right, let's get this party started.
Artificial muscles and a structure that mirrors human anatomy down to the smallest detail.
Let me start it over. Hold on.
Before. Built by Clone Robotics, this machine is designed
here we go.
Artificial muscles and a structure that mirrors human anatomy down to the smallest detail. This isn't just about creating a robot that looks like us. It's about replicating how the human body works. The company is now accepting pre-orders for the first 279 units of Clone Alpha, marking a significant step in their journey to bring lifelike robotics into homes and workplaces. What makes Clone Alpha stand out is its biomimetic design, which is a fancy way of saying it's built to imitate biological systems. Instead of using traditional motors and actuators, Clone Robotics has developed synthetic versions of human organ systems. For instance, the robot has a polymer skeleton that mimics the 206 bones in the human body, complete with articulated joints and artificial ligaments. These features give it an incredible range of motion. Its upper
Hold on before you pay for yet another.
Oh my gosh, hold on.
If you keep it going,
Hey,
yeah.
hold on. Let me send me that link. I'll run it through
Their
mine
app
because
to
I
manage
have
your team.
premium.
Let me introduce you to Connect Team, the
I'm
one
trying to
platform that
get to start.
Now you can
Oh,
skip.
Here we go. We can
replaces
skip it
all of
right
the
now.
body
Yep.
alone has 164 points of articulation, with each hand, wrist, and elbow combination offering 26 degrees of freedom. That kind of flexibility is rare even in advanced robotics. The real game changer here is the muscular system. Clone Robotics developed something called myofiber technology, which uses artificial muscles that contract with water pressure. These muscles are soft and lightweight, yet powerful. A single muscle fiber, weighing just 3 grams, can generate a kilogram of force and contract 30% of its length in under 50 milliseconds. This allows Clone Alpha to move in ways that are fluid and lifelike, a sharp contrast to the rigid mechanical motions of traditional robots. Powering this muscle system is a compact hydraulic pump that functions much like a human heart. It circulates fluid through the robot's vascular system, delivering the pressure needed for muscle contractions. The pump is remarkably efficient, operating at 500 watts while delivering 40 liters per minute of hydraulic fluid at 100 psi. To manage this system, Clone Robotics designed specialized valves called aquajets. These valves operate on just 1 watt of power and ensure precise control over fluid flow, enabling the robot's movements to be both smooth and energy efficient. Clone Alpha's nervous system is another standout feature. It combines multiple layers of sensors and computational models to control its movements. The robot is equipped with 4 depth cameras for visual input, 70 inertial sensors to monitor joint positions, and 320 pressure sensors embedded in its muscles to provide feedback on force. These inputs are processed in real time by microcontrollers, which relay the data to a powerful NVIDIA Jetson Thor GPU running Clone's CyberNet model. This setup allows the robot to have proprioceptive awareness, meaning it knows where its limbs are in space and can adjust its movements accordingly. The company claims Clone Alpha can perform a variety of tasks straight out of the box. It comes preloaded with 16 skills, such as memorizing the layout of a home, tracking kitchen inventory, and performing household chores like vacuuming, setting the dining table, and folding clothes. It can even pour drinks and make sandwiches, which is a nice touch for anyone dreaming of a robotic assistant. The robot is also designed to interact with humans in meaningful ways. It can engage in witty dialogue, shake hands, and even hold items for you. For those looking to customize their robot's capabilities, Clone Alpha includes a platform called Telekinesis, which allows users to teach it new skills. The story of Clone Alpha is rooted in the vision of Clone Robotics' founders, CEO Danush Radhakrishnan and CTO Lucas Kozlik. They've been working on this concept for years, starting with smaller projects like a robotic hand and a humanoid torso. These prototypes showcase the potential of their technology, with lifelike movements and functionality that set them apart in the robotics field. The robotic hand, for example, featured a rotating thumb and could catch a ball with precision, while the torso demonstrated realistic shoulder and spinal movements. One of the key decisions that shaped Clone Alpha was the choice to use water-powered muscles instead of traditional motors. This approach gives the robot a softer, more human-like quality, making it better suited for tasks that require delicacy and precision. It also allows for more compact and efficient designs, as the hydraulic system eliminates the need for bulky mechanical components. This focus on biomimetics, designing machines that mimic biological systems, has been at the core of Clone Robotics' philosophy since the company was founded in 2021. Despite the impressive technology, Clone Alpha hasn't yet been demonstrated as a fully integrated system. While the company has showcased individual components like the robotic hand and torso, it hasn't released footage of the complete humanoid robot in action. This has led to some skepticism about whether the technology can deliver on its promises. Building a robot that moves like a human is one thing. Scaling that technology for production and ensuring it works reliably is a much bigger challenge. The company is aware of these challenges, but remains optimistic. The limited production run of 279 units is a strategic choice, allowing the company to focus on refining the technology and gathering feedback from early adopters. The goal is to demonstrate that their biomimetic approach is not just a theoretical concept, but a practical solution for real-world applications. But the applications for Clone Alpha extend beyond the home. The founders envision their robot being used in workplaces and industrial settings, where its human-like movements could make it easier to integrate into existing workflows. For example, in a factory environment, Clone Alpha could perform tasks alongside human workers without requiring major changes to the assembly line. This adaptability could make it a valuable tool in industries ranging from manufacturing to healthcare. One of the most
Did you know that 78% pool damage occurs during the winter months? Your summer
intriguing aspects of Clone Alpha is its potential for continuous learning. The telekinesis platform enables users to teach the robot new skills by guiding its movements and programming responses. This opens up endless possibilities for customization, allowing the robot to adapt to specific needs and environments. Imagine training your robot to handle unique tasks in your home or workplace, making it a truly personalized assistant. The technology behind Clone Alpha is undeniably impressive, but it's also a reminder of how far robotics has come in a relatively short time. Just a few years ago, the idea of a robot with synthetic organs and water-powered muscles would have seemed like science fiction. Today, it's a reality, albeit one that's still in the early stages of development. Clone Robotics has set a high bar for itself, and the success of Clone Alpha will depend on how well the company can execute its vision. For now, Clone Alpha remains a fascinating example of what's possible when engineering meets biology. Its synthetic organs, advanced muscle technology, and lifelike movements represent a new direction for robotics, one that prioritizes adaptability and human-like functionality. Whether it becomes a game changer or just a stepping stone to something greater, it's clear that Clone Alpha is a robot worth watching. As the first units are prepared for production, the world will be watching to see if Clone Robotics can deliver on its bold promises. With such advanced technology and a clear vision for the future, the company has the potential to reshape how we think about humanoid robots. Whether it's in the home, the workplace, or beyond, Clone Alpha is poised to leave a lasting impact on the field of robotics. All right. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you enjoyed this, make sure to like and subscribe for more AI updates. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.
All righty then. I don't know if it created its own video or not. What I like, the reason why I wanted to show this to you guys was because the robots that we've been looking at are very clunky, very, I don't know, they just look like they're laboring to walk and move. And this seemed very fluid. And also the fact that it's not going to weigh a ton because it's water-based. And you know what it reminded me of? I don't know if when you were growing up, you had the set of encyclopedias. And when you looked at the human body, it had the transparent things, and you take off the skin, then you take off the nervous system, then you take out the organs and the muscles. Remember that? I think this is where this concept came from. Somebody thought about that and said, hey, can we make that happen for a robot? It's got to be cheaper to operate. I mean, because you're not, what would you say? You're not charging all that metal.
Well, Francine Gregory does not look pleased. Go ahead.
What's wrong, Fran? Just a little spooky.
Okay, one, did we have to use the robot to introduce this?
No, but I think it was a way to show you some of its capabilities.
No, he was creepy. Dude was creepy. Okay. And then, I'm going to get Mark's comment and then I will circle back. Okay. It was all good until I discovered that my robot had IBS and a bad back. Mark said, today only, if you buy the house in the box, you get a free refurbished robot.
Oh, okay.
Who wants a refurbished one?
Dr. Tati said, I'll take two.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, because I'm still thinking.
This is very interesting because, like with any technology, there are pros and cons. I see tremendous opportunity in what can be done with this type of technology. So I'm definitely all for it. The thing that gave me pause is when they said, and it can memorize your home layout. I was like, and transmit it to who? So,
well, the thing I liked about it being able to memorize things is, I'm not the person to be trying to program a robot.
yes.
I needed to be able to program itself for that purpose. So, like, I don't think I could even program a Roomba. What is
Well,
that?
technically, the because I have a robot vacuum, you don't have to do. You just push a button and it goes, and if it bumps into something, it goes around you. Okay.
Yeah, it's these things are probably already self-pro. There's very little that you'll have to do. So it's good that it can memorize the layout, but again, so on the nice end or the good end, it memorizes the layout so it knows where to get things that you already have to bring to you. On the other end, it memorizes the layout, and say there is a glitch and now somebody has your home layout and knows how to, and it's terrible to think that way, but that's what America has done. We can't have nice
Somebody
things.
has your layout anyway at the in the blueprints and
the blueprint, but you have to make an effort to go and get this
and find it. Yeah.
You have to make an effort to go and find it. Like, so, and you have to specifically, all right, let me go here. This, not that it makes it easier, but there is the concern of privacy for those types of things, to keep those types of things private. So I can see that. I'm just trying to look at both ends of this.
I think privacy died.
Right, but it shouldn't have died to the point where everybody else can come in and look at my house, because because right now I'm jumping subjects. I apologize for that. When the refrigerators that were connected to the internet, people had access to people's homes, hijacking the refrigerator.
And the thing is, it's like, if it knows, it can tell you what you're low on. This is another way for advertisers to target you for all sorts of different things. Now, again, there are ways that then don't buy that type of refrigerator, obviously. But if it exists and it can be helpful, why not have it? I think the other end of this thing is that they've spent a lot of resources, quite a bit of resources, in creating these muscles that are light, and these we can't do this for humans. We're still using the same 1864 prosthetics from back then, and it just occurred to me that we're doing this to make people who are this can be help for people that are not able-bodied, but some people would like to do things themselves. So I'm just wondering if we can't use this same technology to improve prosthetics, to improve organs.
During the course of the video, it was showing that that's how they started doing robotic arms and things of that nature. So they are using it for that purpose. I don't know if you can do a whole body, I don't, but
I mean, okay, I understand that they may not
see the combination of the two.
Yeah,
actually growing together, Dr. Tachi, like you said.
Okay, and there's still going to need to be some safeguards. They're gonna the people will be able to utilize this. I could see people. It will help, because instead of have the robot on the floor rolling around vacuuming the floor, this one will actually be vacuuming the floor and getting out of the way. Okay.
Well, you know what? I think we all need to be a little cautious after what we saw with the Israelis and them programming those phones. Okay. I mean, I was just thinking, everything, there's so many electronics in every house in America, we're vulnerable.
But the technology, people were going to use their powers for good or not. We're going to have that.
I've been looking at these videos about robots, and China is cranking out these robots. We are getting ready to crank out these robots. Yeah. And I'm like, and now I'm going to put it in the home and let it watch my kid and watch my elderly parent.
There's a movie on Netflix. There's probably several movies on Netflix, but there's one I think it's called Subservient, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Mhm.
So Mark says, "I'm okay with these robots doing some of the work if we can stay home and collect the checks from their labor."
And that's the objective, to have them working in the plants. So wouldn't it be nice if you could contract your robot out to a factory or out to a individual business, like sort of rent a robot like we do with Uber. It could go to the bar and mix drinks and be, a what do you call it, an attraction.
So it would end up being, so let's look at this like the home sharing industry,
Yeah.
where you have hotels that service everyone. But then because of the discussed with the hotel industry, that's how Airbnb and Verbal and all of that. So you have individuals now in this industry renting out their own individual things. So that's kind of like the same thing of what you're talking about. But wherever there is business, people don't want you to have your own so you can rent it out, because people are not only greedy but selfish. So they have to have all the robots. You can't have one. It doesn't matter if you rent it out for $2. I need that $2. So it's interesting because this is also a business.
Right. And
because they think that they can get the cost down between $20,000 and $10,000 by 2026.
Okay, yes, you're making it too easy for somebody, because if you want to be nefarious, the robot, and Dr. Sasha, you mentioned this before, at what point does that robot doesn't have free will somewhere?
Yeah, robotics and ethics. And the thing is, if you're using AI, the purpose of AI is machine learning, so it constantly learns things. At some point, that doesn't mean that it will have independent thought, but it will have a memory box, so to speak, full of things that it has learned to do.
Let me say this. I was watching a video about Tesla's, robots, and they were saying that it can self-learn from are you ready for this? A video. I'm like, what? Did I hear that sentence right?
Well, but that's what ChatGPT is doing.
But it'll take a visual of the video and mimic the movie. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, uh-oh.
But
it
that's
can't watch any
Sora.
crazy movies, because I watch a lot of mysteries.
That's what Sora is doing on a very rudimentary level. It asks you can put in an image or a little bit of video, and it will start to do things with it. So it's already happening. It's very rudimentary now, but before long, it will be very difficult to tell the difference.
It'll be ChatGPT in real life. It's going to draw on, okay, we're going to do that. Okay, and now it does that. And you're like, okay, I didn't tell you to do that.
That's when it gets interesting. So that's what I have. We can move on, but I just wanted you to know about where housing is going and how these robots, because when I saw this about the water one, I said, now this is different.
Well, it was good. Mark has a couple of comments. He said, an unexpected tool of terrorism, hostile governments hijack your refrigerator and spoil your milk.
Well.
And then he says, buy a robot, call TaskRabbit to have it assembled, and then put the robot to work for TaskRabbit. We live in the Matrix.
There you go.
And that's not, a terrible idea. Here's where people are scared of these types of things. They're scared because they're afraid their jobs are going to be lost. Well, and this is going to sound terrible, but it's truth. It follows that you need to be more useful than a mindless drone. If an object can do what you do, that means that you could do more because you're human. And so now it's up to us not to become obsolete. So this reminds me of, you guys know that I really love the Twilight Zone, and Rod Serling is on my top list of creators. So there was one episode of the Twilight Zone. I can't remember the name of it. I think it was called Obsolete. So it was a society, a modern society, where they had decided what jobs were important and what jobs were obsolete. And if you came up in front of the court and your job was obsolete, then you were done away with.
Mm.
So there was a librarian, right? So they had decided libraries are obsolete, therefore we don't need librarians, therefore you are obsolete. And at 5 o'clock today, you will be obsoleted, right?
Mhm.
So it's there's a twist at the end, but go watch it because it's Rod Serling was just so brilliant in terms of his commentary on society and technology. And yeah, it's science fiction, but is it really fiction when we see these things coming to life now? So if you can find that episode of The Twilight Zone,
It is season 2.
Okay.
It's The Obsolete Man, and it's season 2, episode 29.
There we go.
And I want you to know that they are using these robots to assemble cars, and it's just phenomenal, the things that they are doing. They can work for 9 to 10 hours before they have to be recharged. They can back up to the charger and recharge themselves. It's like, okay.
Well, we are.
If they're recharging themselves by the sun, is it really costing the factory anything? Go ahead, Fran.
We are here, and people are screaming about AI. I'm like, okay, that boat has sailed. So we are now here. What are you going to do? Yeah. Watch iRobot so you know how to escape.
That's still our best chance. Watching iRobot. Yes.
Then figure out how to not be caught up. Okay, but this is getting real interesting.
I think so. I think we need to pay attention.
We do.
Because it's becoming what would you call it? It's the price is getting where it's going to be. It can be mainstreamed.
It's going to be common. Mommy, I saw a bot. I was like, okay.
And the bot will hold conversations with your children. It allegedly, the robot will be able to watch your children and interact with them, make faces, answer questions. I guess it's like having Siri in a robot. I don't.
It's a nanny bot.
So then when you end up with a Mark Zuckerberg for a child, because they say he acts like a robot, what can you say? You've let a robot raise your child.
No emotion, no empathy, no.
Right, and that's the problem. And I guess that is problematic to financial progress, I guess, or
how do you keep the robot from becoming a narcissist?
You just don't program it to be such.
Okay. But it has no empathy. It has
Right. But it doesn't know that these things are wrong. It doesn't know that in an advanced society, you need ethics, you need morals, you need empathy, you need those types of things. It doesn't know that. But if you program it, but those things are also counter consumerism too, right? Those things are also counter what's the word for our economy? We are a capitalist. Yeah, those things are also anti-capitalist as well, because if you're worried about whether or not someone can afford to buy what it is you make, you may not put it at a certain price, or you may not make it at all. Or if you're worried about the harm, you may not do it at all. But clearly we've seen some products where they were not worried about our well-being, right? So it's scary that there could be a whole society of that type of thing where people do not worry about the well-being.
And there are people who they don't care. They want the cash.
So
Uh,
what are you going to do? You're going to put the robot in a self-driving car, drive it over to the job.
well, but the robot doesn't have to drive. The car
Exactly. So
already
it
do.
arrives at work, gets out, goes to your desk, and does your job. That'd be cool. I'm just saying.
Well, then there's no need to
Expand
pay
it.
you.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
That's exactly what they're going to say. And that's where this whole obsolescence thing comes into. You will not be obsolete if they need you.
Mhm.
Right. Mark said, did that Twilight Zone inspire Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy?
Mhm.
It must have.
Hmm.
Well,
Mm.
I just think it's going to be an interesting world, and we're already living in it. And so we're just going to watch it evolve.
Could you imagine what the silent generation would be thinking right now?
Listen,
Mhm.
What did we do?
Well,
We didn't send y'all to school for
I
this?
have a
Okay.
friend whose mother is 102. Okay. And just think about that. Living through World War One, two, Vietnam, and now we got this whole thing going on with autonomous cars and flying cars and all this Jetson stuff.
Well, it's a good thing we had Star Trek and the Jetsons, because at least we had a clue, you know.
of what was possible. Yeah, exactly. So we say, oh, well, that's fictional, but it gives you an idea of what is possible. So I
Mhm.
think those things are important. It's important to imagine. Let me
Yes.
just say that it is important to imagine, not just for children, but for all of us to be able to imagine and see something else that maybe doesn't exist, but could
Mhm.
exist. That's where innovation comes from. And the moment we stop imagining, that's a problem. And that's why I'm always like, no, let kids play, let them have their make believe, because that is where they hone their imagination chops that can lead to other things. But you don't want people to imagine, do you? Because then never mind. Anyway.
You don't want the wrong people imagining. All right. And that's what I have for you today, ladies. I hope it stimulated some conversation, Mark.
Oh, it did.
And ladies, and that it will
Okay.
make us smile. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, Mark said they would no longer be silent.
The
Mhm.
silent generation.
Mhm.
Yeah. Whoa. What?
And then Mark says, let's also imagine ending homelessness and food
Mhm.
insecurity, but that's another episode.
Yeah. I mean, that,
And that's what Boxable
Well,
could do. And
okay, so
I saw another. Well, that's
well,
another
let
time.
me say something,
Mhm.
because in the city of Sacramento, they have created uh, places where they have tiny homes and tiny trailers for people to house them. The
Mhm.
challenge is that not every person is on the same level of homelessness. We have those who are there because of some unfortunate situation. There are those who are mentally ill and they tell you, I don't want to live in it, I want to stay outside. And then are those who decide that well, I like living in the open. Okay. Then there are those who, there are just different levels, and some of them are temporary. So it's not just build it and and everybody will come. We got people who refuse and they
That's
want to
true.
stay in tents and leave trash everywhere, but so not everybody who is homeless, there's different levels of homelessness, if I can say it that way. And we built homes here, and there are people who will go stay in those, and then they get on their feet and then they leave and go on and do what they need to do, but there are places for them to stay. Some people refuse to go,
Mhm.
and
that's
there's
true.
services for them. I don't want. Okay.
It's with the same thing with any of these programs and things that are funded by organizations, by governments. The
Mhm.
problem is deeper than the thing on the surface. Yes, on the surface, these people appear to be unhoused. They don't have a place to go, therefore they're unhoused. However, like Fran was saying, some of them have mental illness. Some of them are just caught in a thing that is temporary. So there's so many different levels of this that one size fits all cannot solve this. So it would be great to solve it, but part of the problem too is the mental illness still has a big stigma, and
Mhm.
they don't want to put the resources into helping to treat these things. And mental illness, by and large, is often seen as a weakness or the fault of the person. People don't realize that the brain is an organ that can be ill just like the heart or anything else. The
Right.
brain just happens to do major things, right? It happens to control the carryings on of the body. The functions of the body is because of the brain. So it's a different type of organ, but it's still an organ nonetheless. So until people really see this as this is really an illness, these are the things we can do to solve them, and we're working on other ways, these things won't be solved.
Mhm.
Right. I can remember, Terry, I don't know if you remember this, but there were state hospitals.
Yes.
And the people were housed in the state hospital getting treatment. And then somebody decided to end all that.
That would be President Reagan.
Somebody ended it. And then there were now I'm talking about for the state of California, because I
That's
don't
who
know
I'm
about
talking
everywhere
about.
else.
Reagan was your
Governor
governor at one
Reagan.
point.
He was okay. So after that, now everybody's on the street somewhere.
Mhm. I know. My mother used to be a psychiatric social worker, and she worked at an institute in Pennsylvania. And I recognized that the importance of those facilities. And when he shut that down in California, we were just like, for real? Okay. People need help. Sometimes just transitioning.
Right. And if you don't know how to ask for help, or you don't know what to do to get help, or you know what I mean, you're not functioning enough to be able to say I need help.
Mm-hmm.
And then friends and family can't take you any place to get help.
Is that what you were talking about lacking empathy?
Yes, Mark says that. Mark says, I can do an entire show on this. I worked with a client that was helping the formerly incarcerated. There is a consciousness issue that must be managed if you do not feel worthy or deserving. It doesn't matter what you're giving, you will sabotage yourself and lose it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And all of that, definitely, but it's also by design. When we look at, not to get too deep into it, but when you look at certain communities that are constantly starved and deprived of resources, you start to feel, well, we must not be worthy of these things. No matter how many people are standing up and saying we need these things, there must be a reason we don't have it. So that then, coupled with the old ways of religious thinking, where you hold on for the promised land on the other side, so don't worry about it here. Don't worry about living good here, because on the other side, so you allow yourself to be mistreated because you've been told, well, my reward comes later. So it's which is a dangerous way of thinking, because it gives people license to do whatever they like to you, which is very anti-religion.
Right.
It is.
It
because
is.
you won't need anything on the other side.
Exactly. So you're here now. There's
And it's
no
for
need
now.
in hell now.
Now take this.
So it's, you will sabotage yourself. So part of that is by design, unfortunately.
Right.
That was a rabbit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but it needed to
be said. Yeah.
Yeah, because everything is just not what it appears to be on the surface.
Yeah. Oh, and I didn't know you were training people from Cabrini Green. Wow.
That's a big transition.
Yeah,
Huge.
Mark says, yes, Dr. Tachi, my first job in Chicago was training those from Cabrini Green and from the most brutal housing projects in Chicago. Definitely by design.
Was that part of WIA, Mark? Workforce Investment Act and welfare to work. Those are two.
Yeah, and see,
Mhm.
and you got these are people who are over these programs with humans. If these people have the same mindset and over the programs of robots, what are we gonna have?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
here
I
we are.
mean, this is such a multi-layered thing of technology and community and the
Mhm.
future of community because of technology. It's really difficult, and this is why when people, to Mark's point, when this is something that is ingrained after, and then with the trauma that you have internalized through, for example, epigenetics, this is something that sits with you all the time. It doesn't mean it can't be dealt with or unlearned or go away, but it sits with you. And if you do nothing about it, it's forever there. So my thing is this, really, why would you want to have a country or society where you have a less than? You should be ashamed. I would be ashamed to say that I was a mayor, a council person, a senator, a governor, a president of a place that had this level of problems. And I'm not saying any other place is perfect, but you have money and you still have problems. Something is wrong with you. I'm just saying it's despicable. There should not be this, and I'm not saying that money solves everything, not at all. But at least it makes it cushier to be able to help with assisting some problems.
Well, Mark says his highest accomplishment. Wait a minute, am I in it?
Up at the top, it was my biggest accomplishment, highest placement rate from welfare to work in the school. I worked.
I'm sorry, I'm back.
Okay, I worked in a proprietary school. And then he says his highest accomplishment was that, let's see.
I bet he's clicking it.
His highest accomplishment that I was able to witness. They did it. I just facilitated it, but it is how I learned to do what I do now. And he is a life strategist.
I was a regional advisor for Welfare to Work and for WIA, Workforce Investment Act. So I know exactly what you're talking about, and working with those case managers and running around the country training people how to implement the program. Yeah.
And it's hard because there's also some people have already decided that these people are worthless anyway.
You start with their mindset too. Yeah.
Right. So they think they're worthless. People have decided that they're worthless. They projected onto these individuals that they're worthless, and they act upon the world as if they're worthless. Generations of things that people should not do because that's all you know how to do. And doing it another way does not yield results sometimes. It's a whole societal issue. But thanks for what you do, Mark.
Yes.
Wow.
And you do it well.
Yes,
absolutely.
He does.
Okay, so I am ready to hear about media. I need something light now. Don't start with anything heavy.
I'm sorry, I have to.
Go ahead, Dr. Tachi.
So media time. We're going into some bonus time now.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we are.
We are now in the bonus half hour bonus time, and we have some rest wells. So it's a little bit heavy, but of course we know that former President Jimmy Carter passed away on December 30th at the age of 100. So he made it to 100. And one fun fact is that up until just probably about 2019, he would still hold Bible studies at his home in Georgia. I remember I was in Georgia one time, and my friend that I was staying with, she was like, "Hey, you want to go to the Bible study?" I said, "Of course I do," but it would have taken us too long to get there because it was like about like an hour or so outside of Atlanta. So, and with traffic, but yeah, that's a fun fact. But rest well to President Carter.
Job well done.
Job well done.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service. And now that he is the interesting thing is that I read some articles and he actually his major impact was more so outside of the White House because he was only a one-term president. But then right after that, he started the Carter Center. He acted as an ambassador. He did a lot of different things. So he just did things right. You're right. So
Yeah.
it's like if things so this is a model for Kamala Harris, right? Even though she was not the president, it will be interesting to see, take some of those lessons from Jimmy Carter and now what can I do to better this because we need better.
With this voice, yeah.
What can I do
Right.
with this voice? So Jimmy Carter was exemplary in that sense. So thank you for your service, President Carter. You
I
will
have
be
a quick
missed.
question. Wasn't
Yeah.
she president for a few hours? When
Yes,
Biden,
when Biden he
she
was
was under anesthetic.
yes. So
Oh.
for a few hours she was.
So she can claim that she was the president of the
She
United
surely
States.
can. She surely can, or at least acting president. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's absolutely correct. Wow. All right. So rest well. We also have a great in the world of media, Greg Gumbel, passed away as well at the age of 78, which doesn't seem very old. And he was a CBS sports anchor. He's again known from the world of sports. And his statement from his wife Marcy and daughter Michelle read, "It is with profound sadness that we share the passing of our beloved husband and father, Greg Gumbel. He passed away peacefully, surrounded by much love after a courageous battle with cancer." So he fought the good fight, and you will be missed in the world of sports and in the world in general.
Mhm.
We also have one more. If you remember the show Alice, Linda Lavin
Yes.
passed away.
Oh,
Yes, yes. So she was
I
playing
love that
Alice.
show. It was funny.
I loved Alice when I was little. So if you her area of specialty when it came to entertainment was Broadway. So she was a Broadway actress before her big break
Really?
on Alice. Yeah, so the theater and the stage was her forte. So she was 87 years old.
Good
So
job.
she was a Tony Award winning Broadway actor. She was a veteran from the stage, and then she was Emmy nominated for her role in the 1976 sitcom Alice, and for her Tony winning performance in the 1986 Broadway play Broadway Bound. And she passed away on December 29th. Now, this is shocking because she was working just up until like last month. She
Right.
was still
Sounds like a
working.
plan to me.
Right, because I've seen her in some recent things, and I was
Yeah.
like, I've seen her.
She had a new Netflix series called No Good Deed that was filming, and then an upcoming Hulu comedy series called Mid-Century Modern. And she was one of the leads for that. So it was unexpected, and it was due to complications from recently discovered lung cancer.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So she was still working, still doing her thing. And unfortunately, it was that. So, and apparently, what I didn't know is that she had been a stage actor since she was a child. And she started her Broadway career in the 1960s with the musical It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman, and then the plays Little Murders and Last of the Red Hot Lovers. And those earned her the first of 3 Drama Desk Awards and the first of 6 Tony Award nominations. So she really is a Broadway person. But of course, most of us know her because of Alice, and she will be missed.
And a comment by Mark singing, "There's a new girl in town, and then she's looking good. There's a fresh freckled face in the neighborhood."
Yes, I used to sing that all the time. So of course, it started in the 1970s. When did Alice end? It had to have ended in the 80s because that's when I was watching it. So yeah, so a bit of childhood there. So thank you for that song. All right. So let's now get to some other things. Now we've finished our rest wells. Hold on just a second. Okay. So let's talk. Where do I want to start? Yes, here we go. So if you are a fan of CNBC, are either of you a fan of CNBC? CNBC, I can't really see you, but okay, I'm seeing no.
No, there's a no.
That's a no. Okay. Well, I liked CNBC because, if you follow the stock market and things like that, you'll be able in business. CNBC is helpful. But it looks like there is going to be a CNBC Plus. And they've just launched. It's a new streaming service for $14.99 a month. Now, listen, I love you, CNBC. NBC Universal, this is nothing against you. I'm just wondering where the thought process is like, you know what we need? A streaming CNBC. That's what we need. And we'll call it CNBC Plus. I don't know where the thought process was, but anyway, so what it's going to be, it's a new streaming service and it includes a live feed of the financial news channel. So what's happening is Comcast is spinning off a lot of their cable networks, right? Makes sense. And NBC Universal launched CNBC Plus as, I guess, part of this. It's not cable, but in this whole spinoff where they're creating new things as well. So it's $14.99 a month or $99.99 a year. Don't fool us. It's $15 or $100. Okay. So that's basically what it is. So as I said, it includes a live feed of the cable financial news channel, also on-demand programming, and unlike other recently launched subscription services, it will not debut any original programming. So let me get this straight. You are doing a live feed of a current cable channel as you're spinning off cable channels, and there's on demand. There's no original programming for $15 a month. Okay.
About finance, which is an everyday thing.
Which is an everyday thing, right?
And the stock market, which we can see on our phone.
Yes.
Okay.
Like I don't have to tune into you to get the information I'm going to get. So if there is no new information, in the form of original programming,
information,
right? Why? That's fine. That's fine. But why would I pay for that? Cable is something else. They're legacy media is so used to the way that things have been done, and they continue to do things the way it's been done. It only remains to be seen whether or not this will be profitable for them. I don't know. Let me just keep
what
going.
They're offering. What are they offering?
So Disney just did something weird. I met a really nice young lady when I went to my little retreat there, and Disney, higher up in Disney, right? Where they brought ESPN on as one of their apps, one of who, but now when you go to Disney Plus, you can click on Hulu, you can click on ESPN, you can click on the different, so they took the apps and brought them into Disney Plus, which for me makes no sense because Disney is family owned. It's a family, it's supposed to be family based. Just saying. Hulu does not have that many family based programs. ESPN is totally sports. And then they took Nat Geo and some other stuff is not doing what I was like, who's doing this stuff? So now when you go to Disney Plus, you have to swim through a bunch of stuff to get to the kid content or the family related content.
Well, if there's enough uproar, maybe they will do something about it. But chances are it's going to stay just like that for the foreseeable future, because these are channels that are like, well, we paid for them. We're going to give them as much exposure everywhere we can all the time. So,
and then they raised their rate to $21.99.
Yes.
And I simply said, no, click, because they don't have any original, program. All their stuff is reruns.
Licensed content.
licensed reruns.
Mhm.
Okay. I
Mhm.
was like, no. Okay. So everybody now wants us to get on their plus thing.
Or they want to show
$14.99,
us a commercial every 5
$12.99.
minutes.
Yeah.
$11.99. I was like, wait, everybody's trying to be the Netflix.
Everybody is trying to force you back into the arms of cable. That's what's happening.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking, you know what? You guys are about to push people back to disc, cable, anything, because they tired of being nickel and dime. That's why they left in the first place.
Well, so what exactly? So what's going to happen? The cord cutting movement was simply because people were tired of being, as you said, nickel and dimed by the cable. And not even fleeced, not even nickel and dime, but fleeced by cable.
Basically,
so you're paying $200 a month for HBO 1, HBO 2, HBO 3, HBO 4, for a whole lot of main channels plus their sub channels for very little original program. And I don't mean original by in terms of producing themselves, but originality in programming. Very little of that. So people are like, well, why am I paying $200 a month for this? So the only people that are really paying for cable now are the people that are legacy, that have been there so long that they're set in their ways and don't want to change to something else. I don't know how to use Roku, so I'm just not going to do it. So I would rather, out of convenience, pay $200 a month. Okay, so that's fine. Those people you're not going to change. But those of us that are like, not today, we will cut the cord in a moment. The problem is that worked when you had programming, some programming in a central place, meaning you had a Netflix, meaning you had your Slings and your YouTube TVs that had live TV, and there are fast channels now that have the live TV as well. So you had those things. But what has happened is each individual network has now decided, well, we need a Cooking Channel Plus. We need a This Max. We need a That Plus. And so once the licensing is up for renewal, some of them decide, well, we're not going to renew. We're just going to pull these all back and put them on our own channels and let you pay $11.99 or whatever for that. So that's what's happened with streaming. But yeah, so let's continue with that with CNBC. CNBC Plus is also available as part of an all access tier that includes Jim Cramer's online investment club. And that's $599.99 per year. And it's all access. The pro tier is $299.99. And that adds investment tools. So I guess they're also adding these extra tools. So it's not just about the programming, it's also about these tools that they're adding, which is interesting.
Very, because going to YouTube, you find so much on finance.
Yes.
That I would never go to the CNBC to figure out how to do finance. I'm just, let me talk.
And all of these have tools.
Right. And see, the thing is, with CNBC, it's giving it to you, but not necessarily teaching, unless these new tools have this. YouTube's strong point is the how-to. And so you're going to not only get the what, but the how. So you have to come better than that, because here's the thing. You are also, CNBC's audience tends to skew a little bit older, right? If you want that, these people are not going to be around forever. If you want the critical mass of these millennials, right? As they call them, the geriatric millennials. If you want like younger Gen X, the millennials, and the Gen Z to start to consider you, you've got to really, because you're appealing to a TikTok and YouTube generation. So you've got to do so. And I don't think asking us to pay $15 a month for CNBC Plus when I don't already understand It's not happening. So, but again, that's their business model. You like it, I like it for you. So if you're interested in that, you can actually go to cnbc.com and get CNBC Plus. And it's also available on iOS and Android.
Okay.
So let's move on because we are running out of time. And the U.S. Appeals Court has struck down the FCC's net neutrality rules. Now, why is this important? Yes, it's technology, but it has a lot to do with media as well because the FCC regulates all of that. But the net neutrality, if you're streaming, we're using the net right now. We're using all of that. Now, what does net neutrality? Let me refresh everybody. That basically makes it illegal for internet traffic operators or internet operators, I should say, to throttle traffic. So making it available, making better speeds and such available to one website over another. And obviously, this is often based off of what they can pay, right? So during the Obama administration, they enacted it wasn't Ajit Pai, I don't think, who was the FCC chair. I don't remember who it was, but they instituted the net neutrality rules. So that basically makes it fair across the board for everyone. During the administration after Obama, they repealed all those things. Now it's back again, and it's probably going to be repealed again. So this is not good for consumers. And there are a lot of people on the Hill that are talking about how this is not good for consumers, but it is a major victory for cable companies and telecom companies that have been raising concerns over this. So again, this requires for broadband operators to treat all internet traffic equally. It bans them from giving preferential treatment to some sites by speeding up or slowing down consumer access. This just seems like it's common sense. Like this is something we should have because we don't know how to act and we will take advantage of things if given the opportunity. You can never, it's like how in Japan, how you can forget something at the bus station and go back and it will still be there. Not here. Because you cannot do that type of thing here. So if you give the opportunity for debauchery, somebody will take it and take two of them at that. So it seems like this is something that should already be in place. And this is probably going to be repealed, right? So, but here's the thing. It had not even probably, it has been because the Sixth Circuit Court has justified the decision to strike down the rules in part by, quote, referring to the U.S. Supreme Court's decision last June in Loper Bright Enters versus Raimondo. And that ruling actually rejected the longstanding Chevron doctrine, giving regulatory agencies a fair amount of latitude in implementing their rules. So if you're interested in more of this, I got this information from TV Tech, but this is the big story right now that looking at the repeal of net neutrality rules, which is not going to be good for consumers. It will not be good. And I remember the first time we were talking about this, one of the students when I was teaching at Nova Southeastern for the newspaper, The Current, said, "Can I interview you about the net neutrality rules?" And we had a nice conversation about this. So it's coming around full circle again. There are just some things that need to stay for consumer protection. You cannot operate without the internet. Now, you can't. It does not work. So if now some people have an unfair advantage because they've got all the speeds in the world and the rest of us are being throttled, this is a problem. A throttle unless you're willing to pay more, because now providers can say, oh, well, like they're doing, you want faster speeds? We have this plan that has XYZ, but I don't want that plan. I don't want to pay any more than this.
Tier 1, 2, 3. We got the gold plan, the platinum plan.
They're going to pull a string.
And my question to you is, so does that mean if I am on a lower tier and I'm trying to call 911?
No, that actually should not be a problem. 911 is something that even if if you don't have signal, you should be able to call 911 and get through.
Okay.
So that, I don't want to say that's illegal, but I'm
Emergency
thinking it's
services
like,
should always be available. Okay.
yeah, 911 is you're always supposed to have access to emergency
So
services.
how do you
So
throttle one and not throttle? Well, I guess they figure that out. That's not for me to be concerned about.
it's our concern is looking at, excuse me, at now when it
Availability.
comes to availability, because especially for us, we
Mhm.
live stream. You need good bandwidth to live stream.
Absolutely.
When was it? 2 years ago, I got fiber because I have fiber in this area. 1000% difference between
Mhm.
what I had before. My speeds, when I did a speed test, were reading, when before I got fiber was reading like like between 10 and 12 Mbps. Now I'm like way over 100. It's like off the charts. So I never have any problem with connection anymore. But if internet service providers are able to now say, oh, well, we don't have to, we could do whatever, and we could slow down the speeds, but you could get this faster speed for this rate. It puts consumers in a bad way. So
Yeah, it does.
absolutely. And absolutely, I am done.
Oh,
That's what I have for yes, because we are now at 1 hour 30. And so I'm done.
okay.
Well, thank you. This is really good. And if you would like to know more, you can follow Dr. Tachi at indiesoupmedia.tv and follow her network there. And you can also follow her on Mediascope, which comes out on Wednesdays. We just want to say thank you for being a part of the BizChicks community. We are here Monday through Friday to bring you information that's going to help take the hassle out of your hustle. You can connect with BizChicks by texting biz to 33777, or you can go to bizchicks.net. We say thank you and always come here. We got on Mondays, we just have a conversation around coffee. Tuesdays, we got TJ in the house from New York City. She's talking about marketing and social media news and updates and how to make that work in your business. Wednesdays, we have Coach Karen. It's all about the money, helping you make more of it and invest it better. And then Thursdays, Robin is here for happy, healthy habits, because you gotta keep your health so that you can enjoy your wealth. And then we're back here on Fridays with Tech Life Weekly, talking about all things tech and how it affects your life. So thank you for tuning in. Mark, thank you. All those who are watching here live, we want to say thank you. And we look forward to seeing you next week. And have a happy, happy, happy New Year. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.